We're talking push trucks, PA posse, really big right rear wheels, and racing on dirt. From Silver Dollar to Williams Grove, Eldora to Devil's Bowl, and of course, Knoxville. This is Winged Nation, presented by Hercules Tires. Now your hosts, Steve Post and Erin Evernham.
Hello again. Welcome in. It is MRN Wing Nation, presented by Hercules Tires here on Motor Racing Network. We are so glad you joined us here today. Talking sprint car racing. Erin Evernham, Steve Post. A little later on the program, we're going to be joined by Donny Kreitz and Jack Sodeman, who both had eventful and race-winning weekends. So we look forward to chatting with those two gentlemen a little bit later on. But sadly, we're not in all the best of spirits here because no doubt you're aware, Erin, that we lost a friend. We lost a great racer, and we lost a friend with Bryan Clauson's passing from injuries from a wreck on Saturday night.
We did. The sprint car world, the midget world, the open wheel world, the racing community lost one of its key members. Bryan was full of life, and he was our modern-day AJ Foyt, raced everything. Bryan and his family, they're special people. They've been like extended family to me for years. I met Bryan when he was 14 years old racing Kenyan midgets and went to driving school with him. I've just become great friends with the whole family. And it's, all of Bryan's racing accomplishments are incredible, but he was even more of an incredible person off the track.
Indeed, certainly was, and we plan on talking some about that. Joining us now on the Hercules Tire Hotline is another fellow racer that I know has so many special memories with Bryan as well. Paul McMahan joins us. Hello, Paul. Welcome into Wing Nation.
Hi, guys. How you doing today?
Well, Paul, I appreciate, first off, I want to state our appreciation of you calling in and joining us on what is not fun and happy times to talk about race wins and all the fun stuff we talk about normally when we get a chance to talk with you. But when you think about Bryan Clauson, what comes to mind to you? What are your thoughts when you remember Bryan?
Bryan was just the perfect guy. He was the perfect race car driver. Like Erin said, he was the modern day AJ Foyt, Tony Stewart. He molded himself as them guys. He'd drive anything and everything that he could to get his hands on at any time. But the biggest thing was just Bryan was just perfect. I mean, I don't think you can be any more perfect than Bryan Clauson. I mean, he loved his mom and dad, Tim and Diana, his sister, his wife or fiance Lauren. He always had a big smile on his face and always laughing. He didn't drink, he didn't do nothing wrong. He was just the perfect guy that loved to drive a race car, and like I said, would drive anything and everything.
Paul, you had the chance to drive for Bryan and Tim at the Chili Bowl a few years back. What was it like to be a part of that team for the weekend?
And that was probably, Bryan's 20 years younger than me, but he was the kid I always looked up to because he was just, so good at everything he's ever done. And to have him come and ask me to be a part of the Elk Grove Ford team and have Tim, which I've known the Clauson family for 40 years. So we go way back into my quarter midget days. So, to have Bryan come ask me was very special to me. And because we've always talked about, me being able to drive for Tim or for one of the cars Tim worked on and be a teammate to Bryan. So that was a very special day at Kokomo when he asked me to be part of that.
Do you remember, Paul, a race, a battle? I know we continue to talk on track all week long, but is there a race that you'll remember racing against Bryan or Bryan was in that just kind of stands out as your memories roll through?
Bryan, it was last year at Fremont when Bryan was just starting to do more of his wing stuff, and he was driving for Beef Packers, and we weren't battling for the win, unfortunately, but we were battling back in the middle of the pack and getting sliding each other back and forth, and it was just it was a very fun race to be with that kid and doing that. Bryan drove for my grandfather in quarter midgets when he was probably 7, 8 years old. So to be, making me feel old, really old right now, but to be battling with him and and have Tim there to watch. And you know, it was a special moment. You know, not something we wanted to be doing, was battling for 13th and 14th, but it was sure fun to race with them and race hard and race clean with them. And you know, just I remember driving to Kokomo just to watch them race. I'm not much of a race fan to go sit in the stands and watch the race, but my son Braden really looked up to Bryan, and you know, Bryan always took the time out to talk to my son. So I remember going to Kokomo and watching him, you know, just wheeling on wing car. I mean, the Chili Bowl races, I mean, there's just so many memories of watching Bryan race. Was very, very fun to watch, and he, you know, no matter what happened, he always had that big smile on his face, and that laugh he had. Always, you know, no matter what, always took time out for everybody, except, you know, he always put himself second and everybody else first.
Paul, I've seen, you know, countless tributes on social media for Bryan that are just so fitting. What is the atmosphere like at Knoxville right now around the track?
You know, it's pretty somber, but then everybody, you know, knows that this is what Bryan would want us all to keep going and continue on. You know, me personally, it's not. Yesterday had to be the hardest day of my life to get through and to get out and race. And you know, walking by the 17W trailer to head to my trailer every time was very hard. I didn't think I had any more tears left in my body, but obviously I do. So it's very tough, but you know, it's what we do, and you know, it's what Bryan would want us to do is to keep on going. So we just try to put on a tough face, and a lot of sunglasses are being worn during the day and sometimes during the night. And we just tried to move on.
Paul, last night at Oskaloosa, the special tribute with Bryan's car leading the field around there. I know you were lined up back in the field there right behind the car. Can you just describe that moment for you?
That was real tough for me. I mean, I'm usually when I'm in the race car, I'm fully focused, and you know, when I saw that car out there, I was starting in the back, so I didn't figure I would ever get up to be next to it. But I just tried to put myself in that position to make sure I was the first car to pull up alongside of the 17W last night and be able to say my goodbyes to him. As excuse me again.
Mm-hmm.
As you know, because that was the only way I would be able to do it. It was to be able to pull up alongside of it and say goodbye to my friend. It was very tough. A lot of tears were rolling down the face, but you know, once we got back in line and got collected my thoughts and collected my emotions, we got back to business.
Paul, thank you is not good enough words to express our appreciation for you joining us at this very difficult time and sharing your heart with us. We sincerely appreciate it. We can't wait to get to Knoxville and share some more of the stories and more of the memories. A big radio hug to you here as you grieve this, as the rest of us do. And we can't wait to talk to you at some point down the road about race wins and the fun stuff we normally talk to. But just a sincere thank you for joining us here today and sharing your time with Bryan with us here on Wing Nation.
Well, I appreciate it, guys, and you know, just everybody keep Tim and Diana and Taylor and Lauren, the whole Clauson family, in their prayers. You know, that it's a tough time, give them their space, and you know, they appreciate everything we do, but just make sure we give them their space.
Thank you. That's Paul McMahon joining us here. Erin, is there a race? I'll ask you the same question I asked Paul. Is there a race that you and Bryan had, or a memory, like a specific memory that you have in your time of racing with Bryan?
Well, actually, I never raced against Bryan that I can think of,
Okay.
because he was doing a lot of non-wing. So we
Yeah.
used to bust each other about he was a non-wing driver and wing
Okay.
cars were easy to drive. So Bryan had a wonderful sense of humor. So we always had quick wit, back and forth with each other. But one of my fondest memories is when I first got to know them. Like I said, Bryan was about 14 or so when I first met him. We ended up going to the same driving school together. And my mom was with me. I was only 22. Bryan was 14 or 15. His dad was with him. And my mom wasn't feeling that well. And they picked me up every single day from my hotel in the morning. And we went back and forth to the racetrack. And I had just met them.
Yeah.
And every night we ended up going to dinner at the Outback Steakhouse. And we just built this bond. And I've been trying to think of how I would describe it. But they really are like family to me. Like, I won't maybe see them for a year, but if something big happens, we text each other. Or if we find out we're going to be at the same racetrack, we set up a time to meet. So, like this year, I went to the Chili Bowl, and I hadn't seen them in I don't know how long. And as soon as I got there, Bryan's mom and dad, they're like, "Come on, put your stuff in our trailer, hang out, grab some food." They're just wonderful people, and I can't even describe how heartbroken I am for the family and Lauren. And it's just he was too young and too incredible of a person.
You had I don't know if it was a tweet or a Facebook post. You had, maybe that sums up where a lot of us are at, a posting where initially you had no desire to go to Knoxville, and then as time has gone on, it's probably the place we all want to go now. Not for this reason, but I think it's going to be an amazing week out at Knoxville. Not a fun amazing, and there may be some great racing, and I know there'll be some great partying, but it's going to be a very interesting Knoxville Nationals. Yeah,
it's definitely got a different feel for it now. I've been so excited to take my 1-year-old daughter to Knoxville, and true story, the only racing shirt that I have bought for her, I grabbed from Lauren at the Chili Bowl. It's the only shirt she has, is the Bryan Clauson shirt. So it was packed for Knoxville, and the only koozie I brought, because of course when you're going to Knoxville you need to bring a koozie. I packed it in the motorhome on Friday as my Bryan Clauson number 39 koozie. Wow. So anyway, I've just been so excited to get Kate there to show her Knoxville, and now Sunday I was like, do I really want to expose my daughter to this sport that I love but just took someone so special from me? But like I wrote in my tweet, I can't wait to get there to be surrounded by people who are going through the same emotions that we're all going through right now.
I think that's the case. I think Paul wrapped that up very, very well, and certainly to you too, as a dear friend of Bryan, are certainly wrap our radio arms around you as well. And I think we're going to be a lot of storytelling, a lot of tears,
a lot of sunglasses.
Exactly.
That
this
was
week.
well said.
Well
from Paul.
said from Paul. That's for sure. Bryan Clauson on the racetrack was a 3-time USAC Midget champion, was a 2-time champion in USAC's Sprint Cup or Sprint Car Series. He was the 2014 Chili Bowl winner. He ran 26 NASCAR Xfinity Series races with 2 top 10 finishes. He was a 2-time winner of the Turkey Night Grand Prix and a 3-time starter in the Indianapolis 500. This year, the Circular Insanity Tour, 117 races and 27 wins, and those stats really don't paint the picture of Bryan Clauson. The picture of Bryan Clauson is when you met him, when you talked to him, whether in person or even through social media, when you got to chat with Bryan Clauson. Our first memory here on Wing Nation was after he had made the shift from non-wing racing to wing sprint cars. Our first question is, why did you do that? And he just boldly said, because I needed to figure a way to get on Wing Nation. And it was always about somebody else. It was always about the other folks with Bryan Clauson. Behind the wheel, it was this incredible, incredible passionate racer that could jump out of the Indy car at Indianapolis and go to Kokomo and wear them out. It was the passionate racer that we saw on a Sunday night at Path Valley that went at it with Greg Hodnett throwing haymakers at each other in lap traffics on that little bull ring. It was that passionate race car driver, but it was that beautiful man that we all got to know, whether we met him in person with a handshake, a smile, and a funny story, or we met him through social media, where he shared with us with his life. He shared with Lauren their life together on the road, and he even found a way to share through his dog's life, their life on the road. The Clauson family has asked that that the contributions be made to the United States Auto Club Benevolent Fund. You can find that information at usacbf.com. That's USAC Benevolent Fund, bf.org, that is, usacbenevolentfund.org. Our sincere thoughts, prayers, and condolences to his father and mother, Tim and Diana, to his sister, Taylor, to his fiancée, Lauren, and to Stu and Chevy as well, and our thoughts, prayers, and condolences to the entire sprint car community.
Winged Nation, kicking up dirt with Steve and Erin right after this on MRN.com.
Classic Ink USA Screen Printing and Embroidery is constantly testing the limits of custom racewear and specialized embroidery. Headquartered in Western Pennsylvania, Classic Ink holds the highest standard, maximizing your return as well as the ultimate customer satisfaction. From track swag fanwear to quick crew wear, Classic Ink has you covered. Their dedicated staff and designers will keep your race team and fans looking sharp. Contact Classic Ink today and get your team ahead of the competition. www.classicinkusa.com. That's Classic Ink at the track and on your back.
The 25th year of the Lucas Oil American Sprint Car Series is about to begin.
Expanded national and regional tours, over 150 events across the United States, and some of sprint car racing's biggest names and rising stars.
The 25th anniversary of the Lucas Oil ASCS is one you don't want to miss. Find out when the American Sprint Car Series is near you in 2016 at ASCSRacing.com. Find us on Facebook, follow us on Twitter,
and get all the action away from the track live at RacingBoys.com.
This is Steve Post, co-host of Articat Wing Nation. We're hitting the road to Knoxville, Iowa. Join Kendra Jacobs, Erin Evernham, and me as we broadcast live from the 5-Hour Energy Knoxville Nationals, presented by Casey's General Store, August 10th through the 13th. Join us live in the Fan Zone from Knoxville Raceway or listen on MRN.com 7 to 8 p.m. Eastern Time. Articat Wing Nation live from the Knoxville Nationals. You don't want to miss it.
This is Winged Nation on MRN.com. Now, back to Steve Post and Erin Evernham.
Welcome back. It is MRN Wing Nation presented by Hercules Tires, and as is the case, racing does go on. It continued on this past weekend at Knoxville and continued on last night even at Oskaloosa. So let's take a look at our Classic Ink Screen Printing and Embroidery results page. Knoxville Raceway, 26th Annual Arnold Motor Supply 360 Nationals. Erin, this has been just the most incredible story this year. He's still winning.
It's so cool.
Sammy Swindell still winning, and sounds like he pretty much wore them all out.
Yeah, it absolutely did. It'll be tough next week.
He's going to be tough for sure. Daniel Sosky was second. Clint Garner was third. Terry McCarl and Ian Madsen, your top five. As we go through this results page, listen to some of the names because there's a lot of names that maybe didn't get all the wins, but we're going to mention a number of times, and those are people we need to watch this week because there's some drivers and teams that are rolling, okay? The Cappy Classic, final tune-up for the Nationals. The top three, Shane Stewart, Kerry Madsen, and Brian Brown. Not a shocker there. The big names rise to the top, and that's certainly what happened in the Cappy Classic. Last night, it was the one-night stand for $20,000. The Front Row Challenge at Oskaloosa. Darren Pittman scored the win. Kerry Madsen and Brian Brown, second and third. This is shaping up on track to be a really strong Knoxville Nationals. We understand that Donny is Donny, but there are some drivers that are rolling into this thing with a lot of momentum. There really are. We'll continue down that course because the Ironman 55 was in Peevely, the prelude to the Ironman. David Gravel. Another one that is rolling at this point in the year. Saturday night, the Ironman 55, $20,000. Rico Abreu, Rico's going to be there. Kerry Madsen, again. Shane Stewart, that's three. Again, yes. Those of you keeping score, that's 3 straight second-place finishes. World of Outlaws, Cappy Classic, and National Sprint League for Kerry Madsen. The madman's rolling. The madman is rolling into this. So when you look at that, Kerry Madsen, Shane Stewart, Brian Brown, Darren Pittman, Rico Abreu, David Gravel. I mean, this is lining up to be epic. It's lining up to be some great racing and to see who makes all the right moves. And sadly, we're going to have somebody we're going to be like, oh.
Yep.
And you may very well see somebody Wednesday or Thursday night say goodbye to their chances to the Knoxville Nationals.
Yep.
It's amazing what we're going to see out there because there are so many teams performing so well. The IRA bumper-to-bumper sprints, they had a pair of shows. Friday night, Dodge County Fairgrounds in Beaver Dam, Wisconsin. Scotty Neitzel was the winner. Saturday night, Plymouth Dirt Track in Sheboygan. It was Jeremy Schultz.
You like saying Sheboygan.
I like saying Sheboygan way too much.
Every time you get.
I actually was there one night, too. I was there and watched a race one night, a late model race, or I think it might have been late model race. I don't know. IRA sprints might have been there. It was years ago before I was doing the sprint car stuff, but great little racetrack. Other winners in the 410 series, Austin Pierce and one at River Cities. Lucas Wolf got a win at Williams Grove. Jack Sodeman Jr., we're going to talk to. He won both Lernerville and Mercer. Badlands, it was Tim Kading. Ken Mackey won at Butler. Byron Reed, who's headed to Knoxville, he won at Fremont. Mitch Marble won at Wayne County Speedway. And then there's this. Port Royal, the Living Legends Dream Race. They were honoring Randy Wolf and John and Pee Wee Zemetis, the Zemco Racing team. But when it was over, they were honoring the same guy we've been honoring all year long, or the same trio we've been honoring all year long. It was Lance Deweese, a great race with him and Stevie Smith. I was watching on Race Monitor, and this had to be a great race in person because they were bouncing all over on Race Monitor. So Lance won over $12,510, and joining us is that Hall of Fame team owner, Don Kreitz Jr. is on the phone. Hello, Donnie. Welcome into Wing Nation.
Hi, nice to be here.
Well, it is great to chat with you, Donnie. And, man, I'm telling you what, it sounds like you had that 69K car rolling for Lance up at Port pretty well.
Yeah, it's been a dream season for us. You know, Lance has certainly done above and beyond our expectations, and you know, Davey at 82 still rolling along, and you know, his mind is so sharp yet. It's just amazing. We've been very fortunate to, you know, hit the car, you know, pretty good when it needs to be. If it's not right earlier in the night, get it pretty close for Lance for the future, and you know, he's just doing an incredible job driving it.
Donnie, it's so good to chat with you. It's been, years since I've had the chance to chat with you. What is it like for you to be outside of the car now? You know, you're such a staple in Pennsylvania as a driver. What is it like to see your car on track and have someone else in the seat?
Well, with the job Lance doing, it's fun. You know, it makes it a lot easier than we've been at some tracks this year where if I thought, and I'm still not, but if I thought I was in, you know, good enough shape to drive the car, the Hagerstown Speed Week show, it was just so super slick. Even actually Port Royal on Saturday night, tracks where I thought, where, you know, I could do a little bit of damage or something, we could have a good run. But you know what? It hasn't really bothered me because I know I'm not in good enough shape to drive. You know, if you're a football player and you got a broken leg and, you know, Super Bowl's coming up, you might want to play, but you still can't, you know, and that's kind of where I'm at. So it hasn't really bothered me. I kind of enjoy it. You know, I was getting up there with my age. I could have poked around a couple, 3 years, I'm sure, and ran this race and that race, but it's okay. You know, the timing of it was just about right anyway, and we're having a lot of fun.
Well, having fun, because Victory Lane's a great place to be, that's for sure. You know, you mentioned the Super Bowl, okay? As your season has gone on, there's been a groundswell on social media. Let's get the 69K to Knoxville. And you've announced a couple of weeks ago that that's not going to happen, and I respect that. And a lot of times, Donnie, you see things get off plan, and the next thing you know, you're all messed up with what the plan was. So, but what was that like? Did you guys even ponder it? Did you consider it? Was it never part of your thoughts? What was that whole period like? Because we saw it on social media. I have to say, people might have asked you about it along the way.
Yeah. Well, I'll tell you what. This is funny. So last night I was talking to Davey Brown about he's going to work on one of our engines for the rest of the year, and anyway, and so he called me last night, and then I never mentioned one word to Davey about it because we're such a week to week team basically. I did say something to Lance after the Summer Nationals at Williams Grove. I just said to him, I said, hey, you know, what's your feelings on Knoxville? And so can you imagine hitting a driver after he wins a big race? You know, it's kind of like with guys, you know, if your wife wants something, she asks you in bed, right, after you have sex or whatever. So this is a real vulnerable time for me to ask Lance this after he wins that race, you know, and he's so smart. He knows we're not a team like that, you know, that really could put our best foot. I mean, it would take a lot of planning for us. I don't think my tow rig would make it. I mean, it would have to be completely overhauled. Davey, I kind of figured he wouldn't be able to go. You know, it's just such a grind. And then me, myself, it's hard for me to make the back-to-back days. You know, I just get so screwed up. And, you know, that's almost 3 or 4 days in a row there in probably the hot sun. And Lance has seen me when I haven't been. He hasn't seen me when I've been bad, but when I haven't been real great, and he knows I make mistakes and that I'm just not good. So he was smart enough to evaluate the whole thing, and he said, look, if it's on your bucket list and you want to go, he said, I'll go anywhere you want to go, because he said, the car's fast, we're going good, but I don't think it's our best move. I don't think we're ready for it. And he said, we would have had to skip that Port Royal race. He said the Port Royal has that big race coming up, because we would have definitely wanted to be out there ahead of time and, run the Capitani Classic and really put our best foot forward. So as soon as he said that, I said, you know what, I'm glad, because I said I probably it would have been tough for me. So, it would have been a great challenge that we all would have liked to do, the whole team, and it just came up on us too quick to where we wouldn't have been prepared for it. And just because we're having a good year in Pennsylvania, going out to Knoxville and not being prepared, you're just kidding yourself. You can catch lightning in a bottle. We maybe could have got lucky and made the show or something like that, but we wouldn't want to do that. I mean, if we'd go out there full-fledged with our best effort we could put in, you're still fortunate to make the show. So we didn't want to go out there half-ass.
Well, Donny, it sounds like you guys have a blast together. I can only imagine this trio. What's the dynamic like at the track between you and Lance and Davey? Two drivers, a crew chief, an owner now. What's the dynamic like at the track?
Well, it's great, so Lance has so much experience and is such a great driver. You don't even ever have to say anything to him, hey, Lance, this is where you need to run on the track or anything like that. So that's just because he's such a good driver, you don't even have to worry about that. And me and Davey have always, just worked good together. I'm one of those wacky guys that's a mad scientist, and I always have all these ideas, and I'll throw 10 of them out at Davey, and he's like, no, that'll never work. That might work. Let's do that and then do this and this and this, Maybe we can try that, So me and Davey, he's conservative, and I always like going for it, kind of on the setup, So we work really well together, and it's just been it's been a blast. And my crew guys are great. Most people don't know this. So Davey's the leader of the pack. He's 82. He takes care of the engines. He lives far enough away from me. He don't come to the shop or anything, but he takes care of the engines, and he comes to the races every time we race. My next guy that kind of helps, does the maintenance on the car, is 73. And then I have a guy, so he has a small business, he works, and then still comes at night and works on the race car. Another guy has a small business, and he's here almost day and night when he's not working his business. He's 65. I'm kind of like the youngest guy on our team, and I'm going to be 55. So it's it's good. We're all having fun.
Oh, that's awesome.
Gosh.
Donny, I see there's another 69K on the track running the 305 series. I think it's really cool you have your daughter racing. Tell us what that's like.
It's a blast. I'm usually in the doghouse because of with running the 410 car and everything. And yourself, when you start racing, you want to race all the time, and you need to race all the time. So we've only gotten her out 4 times this year, and she did really good. The last time she won the B main and started 19th in the feature and ran 12th, and it was only her 4th time out. So she's going to get back out here in a couple of weeks when we're at Susquehanna. It's very nerve-wracking, but it's a lot of fun at the same time.
Donny, I'm telling you what, it is always a treat to talk to you, and it is such a treat to watch what's happening up there. We appreciate you taking some time out today from the Speed Shop business to join us, and thanks for joining us here on Wing Nation.
All right, thanks for having us on.
That is Donny Kreitz, and man, that was well-timed interview.
I was just going to say,
interview.
that was what the doctor ordered.
That is fantastic.
Yeah,
when
a breath of fresh air.
The next thing you know, we're talking about being in bed. It's like, I'm like,
leave
whoa.
it to Donny.
Leave it to Donny. And great stuff. And, the beauty of it is they're backing it up on the racetrack,
Yeah.
and that's the thing. So that is going to wrap up the extended version and the hilarious version of the Classic Ink screen printing and embroidery results page. Classic Ink screen printing and embroidery, great T-shirts, sweatshirts, hoodies, towels, caps, and more. Find out why drivers like Brian Brown, Donny Schatz, Danny Dietrich, Danny Lasowski, Brady Bacon, and more choose Classic Ink. You can find out at ClassicInkUSA.com. That's www.ClassicInkUSA.com. We need to step away because another guy wearing them out, Jack Sodeman Jr., he joins us next.
I'm Kerry Madsen, and you're listening to Wing Nation on MotorRacingNetwork.com.
The National Sprint Car Hall of Fame and Museum in Knoxville, Iowa.
Honoring sprint car racing's greatest achievers.
25 historic sprint cars on display, a movie theater featuring sprint car racing films, and a breathtaking view of historic Knoxville Raceway. Go to SprintCarStuff.com for the largest sprint car gift shop on the planet. The National Sprint Car Hall of Fame and Museum in Knoxville, Iowa.
Aggressive Hydraulics, where we engineer the cylinders that move your business. We specialize in crafting hydraulic cylinders and components with superior precision and performance, making OEM products stronger and creating more opportunities for distributors and repair facilities. Crafting cylinders that operate on a global basis in a wide variety of industries and applications. Get aggressive with your cylinder challenges. Aggressive Hydraulics.
Visit Tom Johnson Camping World in Concord for all your race week needs. Race into savings now through September 30th and save big on over 400 units in stock. America's #1 RV and outdoor retailer has something for everyone. Get race season started at your local NASCAR headquarters with travel trailers starting at only $109 per month. Don't let these savings pass you by. Meet us at Tom Johnson Camping World and save big on your dream RV. STK number 1262508. Payments to qualified buyers with approved credit subject to lender terms based on statistical surveys 2015. See below for full offer details and disclaimers. Offers expire September 30th, 2016.
I'm Casey Kane. Now back to Wing Nation.
Thank you, Casey. Welcome back. It is a great time here at Wing Nation. We appreciate Donny Kreitz joining us and sharing his passion and his excitement. Just really, really cool. Great story happening out in western Pennsylvania, Lernerville and Mercer. Jack Sodeman Jr. is really on a roll here. Picked up wins both Friday and Saturday night at Lernerville and Mercer. And we figure we need to dial that rascal up and see what's going on. So Jack Sodeman Jr. joins us on the line. Hello, Jack. Welcome to Wing Nation.
No, thanks for having me, guys. It's always a pleasure to talk to you, and that usually means that you've either done something really well or really bad, so at least we're on the right side of that this time around.
You are on the right side of us. Tell us what's going on there with you just rolling, parking in Victory Lane all the time.
I think all the other guys just feel bad for the old guy that's still around, all the young kids. Maybe they're giving them to me. I'm not sure, but it's not that we're doing anything different. Just the guys are working really hard, and things are working out our way where we found the cars handling pretty well, and everything's working our way. Some years you can do nothing wrong. Some years you can do nothing right. So this happens to be my turn, I guess.
Is there something you guys feel like you've hit on with the car, with the setup, with the crew chief driver dynamic? Is there something that you feel is kind of really kicked things off?
I mean, it's we've been with Triple X cars for a while. We've always had really good luck with them. It's now we did make a couple switches with the bar package, and we went to CSI shocks when we switched over our shock package, and definitely helped with the consistency quite a bit. But the biggest thing that we're doing is just everybody's out there kind of having fun. And I think in July, and my records in the last 5 years of me getting hurt in July, I think I wanted to go as fast as I possibly could. In case I got hurt, at least I had something to say that I got something accomplished. So last year we were lucky and we didn't get anything. Knock on wood, we haven't got banged up at all this year. So we're going to keep that one going, and hopefully somebody else can take the turns of getting banged up.
Well, exactly. It's just rolling for you, that's for sure. Hey, what's it been like for the family? And I know that it's just such a good family effort, and I believe one of the cars you have is a tribute car as well. What's that all been like as far as the victories go and celebrating and just honoring all good things Sodeman over in Western Pennsylvania?
Oh, it's been great with the feedback that you get from a lot of the fans and everything with the throwback car has actually been very, very strong. Probably one of the most popular cars I've actually ever had. And you can always tell the generation gap. You have the guys that come over and just say, oh, yeah, I really like the car. That's really neat. That's something different. It's kind of old school. And then you can tell the generation that was here and say, oh, man, that brings back so many memories. you can kind of tell where in 1985 who was around racing at that point and who came in after just by the comments that they say.
Jack, with all the success you're having in Western Pennsylvania, are there any thoughts of branching out a little bit more, maybe catching some more All-Star shows?
Well, we definitely like running with the All-Stars. I love running with Tony's group and everything, and any chance that we get, I like to run with them. It's just very hard. Like during the week shows, I actually have a full-time job as well, so I'm actually in Punta Gorda, Florida right now, and tonight I'll actually be in Newport News, Virginia. So just traveling around doing everything in the automotive industry that I take care of in the training that I do. It just doesn't leave me a lot of time. If it's not a weekend show, it's very hard to get to. And by the time I fly back home, to be able to travel far distances like a Knoxville Nationals or Kings Royal is almost out of the question. It's very hard to get to them. But anytime we can run with the All-Stars and kind of speed week and anything that we can, it's my vacations usually revolve around racing, whether it be Charlotte or whether it be Speed Week or whatever the situation. That's kind of this year we used it a little bit different. I did actually said, okay, well, probably not going to go to Charlotte this year. What we'll do is I have the kids now, and my daughter is turning 4 years old, where she can kind of enjoy going to water parks and doing different things. So I spent a whole week with her. So did transition a little bit to the family, but I still have the racing bug quite a bit. So we do want to get out and travel out as much as we can. And we'll definitely be in some Ohio races and a little bit more out of the region here coming towards the end of the year when some of the tracks kind of shut down in the area, and we get that opportunity to travel around a little bit more.
Very, very cool. And water parks with the 4-year-olds is a great way to spend a vacation. So as a father of 15 and 18-year-old little girls, water parks at 4 is really, really cool. And I envy you getting the chance to do that. So that's really, really neat. Hey, you mentioned your job. You're in Florida, and then you're going to in the automotive industry. What do you do, or who do you work for?
Well, right now it's actually Chrysler Corporation that I run for. It's Y-Visor. It's a service program that they actually go. But I've been in the automotive industry quite a long time. I actually came from test driving for the different motor companies, doing things at the proving grounds and doing a lot of their product testing, as well as commercials, movies, and precision driving for things like that. And one thing and it's a great job, especially through your 20s, I took full advantage of that and got to travel a lot and do a lot of things. But when you're doing precision driving for, let's say, a commercial or a movie, when they say you're on location for 6 months, that's what it means. That means you're going to be there for 6 months. So I'd rather be a father than a visitor. So I changed things a little bit on the career side and got more onto the training side, and actually going in more of a consulting role. So I'm actually going in and doing a lot of consulting at a lot of the dealerships across the country.
Wow, that's really neat. I've had the chance to do a little bit of that precision driving through BMW and some commercials and things. What are some of the things you've worked on? Any cool movies or commercials that we'll all know of?
Oh, yeah, it's a lot of the different commercials. I mean, you wouldn't really know me too much. I was just dressed in black and paid not to crash the car. That was kind of no really different than
I've been in a few of those too.
Yeah. But it's they kind of black you out, and you take care of that in the commercials. And the movie stuff, I mean, it's I know a lot of the guys that went through a lot of the stuff, like with the Tokyo Drift movie and Dukes of Hazzard, so on and so forth. You got Tanner Faust, you got Samuel Hubinett, and I've been friends with those guys and did testing with them forever. So it was just one of those natural progressions to actually get through and actually do things like that. But again, it's as we all became a little bit changes, as life changes, and you become more of a family man. Kind of think more about your family and other people than yourself. Like you do a little bit more selfishness when you're in your 20s, I believe.
That's fascinating. That's
cool.
absolutely fascinating. I mean, it's just it's a great story, Jack, and a great story on the racetrack as well with winning these races along the way. Just having a great season. We appreciate you taking some time out down in Florida, joining us here today on the program. Thanks for the time and continued success as you work your way through the balance of the year.
Thanks. Hopefully we can keep the momentum going, and we can continue to talk to you guys about doing good things.
Probably. That is Jack Sodeman Jr. Wow.
That's cool. Very neat story.
I think I knew that, and I think he might have shared a little bit of that with us the last time. But we probably haven't talked to him for a year or two. Maybe talked to him end of last year when he was trying to do the tribute car. But I think he told us that. But I guess we didn't get into it as detail. That is pretty wild.
He was very humble about it. I mean, he hardly just mentioned it. Like, I had some, commercials, movies. Like, hey, I want to know what you're talking about.
Coolest thing in the world. Yeah. I mean, that's a cool gig you've got. So, and then Victory Lane at Lernerville and Mercer on a regular basis.
Not bad.
Yeah, really rolling. So great to talk to Jack Sodeman Jr. as well. We need to step away because there's this little race happening out in Iowa, and we're going to talk a little bit more about that here in just a moment.
Hi, this is Sam Haferteep. You're listening to Wing Nation on MotorRacingNetwork.com.
Hi, I'm Jeff Gordon. Did you know that 43 children are diagnosed with cancer each and every day? That more children die from cancer than any other disease? Athletes of all ages are dedicating their stats to change these stats, and you can too. Visit JeffGordonChildren'sFoundation.org to become a Kick It champion. No matter what sport, you can use your points, laps, or goals to change the odds for kids with cancer. Make your stats really count. Become a Kick It champion.
Whatever you drive, wherever you go, Hercules Tires will get you there, whether you're running on dirt or running a job. Our dependable, high-quality tires are the perfect fit for your needs. For unmatched value, selection, and warranty with industry-leading road hazard protection, there's only one choice: Hercules Tires. To learn more, visit HerculesTire.com or call 800-677-9535. Hercules Tires, ride on our strength.
Looking for a great spot for an affordable beach vacation or the perfect romantic retreat? Let the Plaza Resort and Spa help. A vacation on the world's most famous beach is sure to help you reconnect with the ones you love. Discover the grand tradition of hospitality and service on Daytona Beach. The Plaza Resort and Spa is the perfect choice for any type of getaway. Book online at plazaresortandspa.com or call 1-855-DB-PLAZA. That's 1-855-327-5292.
Time now for a look at a great American dirt track presented by another great American dirt track, the Speed Palace, Port Royal Speedway.
I'm Ashley Stremme. The sprint car capital of the world? That is what Knoxville Raceway in Knoxville, Iowa has become known as since weekly racing began being held at the half-mile dirt oval in 1954 at the Marion County Fairgrounds. Governed by the 24-member Marion County Fair Board, Marion Robinson was named race promoter in 1956, and in 1961 he created the granddaddy of them all, the Knoxville Nationals. The first 5,000 to win race was won by Roy Robbins. In 1977, Ralph Capitani took over promoting the races and increased the winner's purse of the Nationals to $100,000. Since then, the Knoxville Nationals has continued to grow each year, over 100 drivers entering, creating a who's who of sprint car racing for their shot at winning the biggest race of the year. Racing at Knoxville is some of the strongest in the country, with names like Lasowski, McCarroll, Brown, Madsen, Wolfgang, Weld, and Saldana claiming track championships. 195 drivers have won feature events at Knoxville, with Danny Lasowski leading the way at 110. Steve Kinzer has 11 Knoxville National Champions, with Donny Schatz closing in on that record with 9. Also at Knoxville Raceway is the Sprint Car Hall of Fame, a must-see attraction when in Knoxville. Knoxville Raceway, a great American dirt track brought to you by another great American dirt track, the Speed Palace, Port Royal Speedway.
All right, so it is Knoxville Raceway. Go on our Facebook page a little bit later on today if you're watching us live or throughout the week, and share with us your Knoxville memories, Knoxville stories. Now, Erin, I'm sure I know what your favorite Knoxville, what's your first Knoxville memory?
My first Knoxville memory, I went there in, oh, goodness gracious, 2000, I think, or 2001 with my brother. So I was racing ESS, or I don't even know if I was racing ESS yet, and I met Tom Schmey, who is still the curator at the Sprint Car Hall of Fame. And I mentioned something like, I've got to get to Knoxville. And he said, well, come on out. I'll hook you up. So we stayed at a family's house, Denise and Dennis Deaver. Dennis used to be a fireman at the track, and his wife worked in the Hall of Fame. We stayed at their house and went to the Nationals every single night. And I remember sitting there, and I remember telling somebody, like, I want to race here someday. And a few years later, I was fortunate enough to go back. But that was my first memory. It was a special week.
Really? That is so cool.
Yeah.
That is so cool. My first was just a few years ago when we started doing Wing Nation. You were actually part of my first memory before we were co-hosting the show. Yeah. We went out there, and I'll never forget, Erin and I think we were on the same flight out. I don't know if we might have been on the same flight out, but I know we were on the same flight back because
I remember that.
You were out there on Sprint Car Hall of Fame business. At the time, we were just going to do 2 nights of Wing Nation. And so,
I had to go home early, too.
You had to come home early, and I had to fly to Watkins Glen. And we're sitting in the Des Moines airport, we were the only 2 people in the whole airport.
Well, it's not a big airport to begin with,
Exactly.
really.
And we're just sitting there like we must be the 2 dumbest people on the planet
And
because we
said,
were leaving.
Never again.
Never
will
again
we
will we
leave.
leave. And we haven't.
No,
Exactly.
no.
So it is an amazing place. And we're going to continue here till the top of the hour talking about that as well. The National Sprint Car Hall of Fame and Museum is a special place. They have the Expand the Dream program. You can find out more information at sprintcarhof.com. I always like to look at birthdays. Monday was a big day. Terry Gray, Tony Bruce Jr., and Bill Baylog. Tomorrow, Wednesday, will he give himself a big birthday present? Donny Schatz. Thursday, will Donny Schatz give this guy a birthday present? Jack Elam. Friday, Lynn Jeffrey and Parnelli Jones. Let's jump back to Jack Elam. J&J Chassis, McKenzie, Tennessee-based builder of sprint cars. He started building sprint cars in 1964.
That's cool.
That is really cool. 1969, they created an H&E. The E is for Elam Manufacturing. And in 1972, he became the sole owner of J&J Auto Racing, moved to McKenzie, Tennessee. You don't really have to look far to see the success. Listen to the names: Sammy Swindell, Bubby Jones, Ricky and Clarence Hooker Hood, Ron Schumann, Bobby Davis Jr., Chuck Amati, Fred Raymer, and Donny Schatz.
And Erin Evernham.
And Erin Evernham. How about that?
Yep, I've won a J&J chassis.
Have you really? That's
Yep.
fantastic.
Jack and Bonnie are great people, great ambassadors for the sport.
Great ambassadors for the sport, and 2009 inductees into the National Sprint Car Hall of Fame. So much merited.
Yes.
And maybe the theme here is still wearing them out as well. Because they have, it's just amazing what they do. Great race cars, great ambassadors for the sport. And again, we share this with you every time we talk about the Sprint Car Hall of Fame. That's what it's about, is the stories of the people we see, the Steve Kinzers and Doug Wolfgangs and Sammy Swindells of the world, but also the Jack Elams of the world. And then sometimes we find people whose names don't even ring a bell to us, and we find some fascinating story. And that's why this week in particular, that is a great place to spend a couple hours just going through and learning about sprint car racing, because it's an incredible place.
And this week they have so many different events going on at the Hall of Fame, different forums and chats. And they're actually going to be doing one on Thursday at 2:15 to memorialize Bryan Clauson.
Great. Okay, 2:15 on Thursday for sure. So sounds really, really good. It is the National Sprint Car Hall of Fame and Museum, sprintcarhof.com. And also, I'd like to mention the Jeff Gordon's Kick It Person of the Week. Folks, you can be part of the Person of the Week. As a matter of fact, the People of the Week are those of you who will participate Thursday afternoon at Slideways Karting Center, 1 o'clock. It's the Weld Racing Go-Kart Spectacular. This is the craziest thing in the world. We're going to put Larson, Stewart, Gordon, and Kane in karts and let fans go race with them.
If they're brave enough to try to race
If
with
they're
them.
brave enough to race with them, exactly. I noticed you didn't even sign up for it. You wanted no part of that.
Oh, I've done it before. It's
I
a
know.
blast.
It is.
I actually saw John Bickford, Jeff's stepfather, this a few days ago, and he was talking about Jeff's weekend at Watkins Glen, blah, blah, but he said, Jeff can't wait to get out there Wednesday. He loves that go-kart race. So it's cool to see, after all he's been through in his life and racing career, he's excited to get to that event. So that event is Thursday at 1. And then Friday, it's Tony Stewart's Kick It Cup, 1 o'clock at Young Park, just up the road. And here's how they're doing it this year. Previously, it was drivers versus wives or girlfriends, okay? This year, it is fans, teams coached by Jeff Gordon and Tony Stewart. I can't wait to watch this.
I wouldn't want to be the referee or the umpire or whatever it is. The umpire.
No, for
Can
sure.
you imagine that? And I think the coach actually does the pitching. So I think, if I'm not mistaken, Tony and Jeff are going to be the pitchers for their respective teams.
Oh, wow.
I think. I'm not sure. Don't
that could
quote
be
me
the
on
most
that.
entertaining part.
Well, exactly. And then you're the ref. You're the umpire. Oh, boy, this is going to be a mess.
Wasn't Doug Clark the umpire one year? The flagman, Doug Clark?
And I think that was, and if he is the case, then we're in good hands, because
that
I
would
don't
be
think,
interesting.
because Gordon and Stewart's not hooking into Doug Clark.
No.
They're not going to hook into that. They want no part of that. I mean, speaking of Doug Clark, he's going to be our guest on Wing Nation and Mav TV Saturday morning.
Very cool.
Yes, very, very cool. Another great part. It's like you look at every aspect of Knoxville, and it's like the flagman. That's the coolest guy in the world. That's the coolest flagger in the world. The museum, that's the coolest museum in the world. The kickball, it's just so great. But so the Jeff Gordon Kick It Person of the Week could be you by participating this week, Thursday afternoon, the Slideways Karting Center, Friday afternoon at Young Park in Knoxville, Iowa. We need to step away. More of all the happenings in Knoxville and a whole lot more fun coming up in just a moment.
Hi, I'm Rico Aber, and you're listening to Wing Nation on MotorRacingNetwork.com. Plan now for the 38th Annual ATCO Jackson Nationals. 3 big days, September 2nd, 3rd, and 4th. Come out and see the stars of the Lucas Oil ASCS 360 Sprint Car Series, the National Sprint League 410 Sprint Cars, and the HRA non-wing Sprint Cars. Watch Daniel Osowski, Brian Brown, Sammy Swindell, Ian Madsen, Aaron Reitzel, Johnny Herrera, and many more of the nation's best sprint car drivers. Compete for $25,000 to win the NSL 410s and $10,000 to win the ASCS 360. Get a 3-day combo pass for just $75. Order your reserve tickets online at jacksonmotorplex.com. The all-new Jackson Motorplex in Jackson, Minnesota. Just be there.
Are you ready?
To help children forget about their serious medical conditions so they can just be a kid. Then support Victory Junction, which is the dream of late race driver Adam Petty, who wanted to build a camp where children concentrate on fun and laughter, not illness or disability. At Victory Junction, kids enjoy ziplining, horseback riding, swimming, fishing, all in a medically safe environment, all at no cost to the camper. What do you say, Richard Petty?
Let's do this.
Learn more at victoryjunction.org.
When the smoke settles, the entertainment never stops.
I feel like experience kind of outweighs youth.
On race weekends, your favorite NASCAR personality is an everyday superhero.
Kyle Busch driving for his life right now.
But when they leave the racetrack, they're just like everyone else.
Our lives are so much different than what people may think they are.
I'm Susie Armstrong. Join me on a daily journey as we discuss the hot topics and engaging personalities of NASCAR Nation. Ned Jarrett's World of Racing, weekdays on the Motor Racing Network.
Hi, I'm Jeff Gordon, and now back to Wing Nation.
Thank you, Jeff. It is going to be an incredible week. It's the 56th Annual 5-Hour Energy Knoxville Nationals, presented by Casey's General Store. Wednesday night, Brandt qualifying night. Thursday night, Toyota qualifying night. Friday night, the FVP preliminary night, plus the Speed Sport Knoxville World Challenge. And on Saturday night, it is the big one, $150,000 to win. And, Aaron, as we talked about just a little bit ago, we understand Donny Schatz is Donny Schatz. And if we set him aside, there are a lot of drivers that you can say, man, they're on a roll. They look good for the Nationals.
Yeah, absolutely. There's a list of them. I mean, you look at Sammy. He's been in victory lane how many times at Knoxville already? He just won the 360 Nationals. And Shane Stewart and Kerry Madsen, all those guys have a ton of laps at Knoxville and are always strong. I think it'll be interesting.
I think it will be interesting to see, and it will be interesting to watch shots. See if we get the machine Donny shots, where it's just this rapid fire, quick time, 8th to 1st in the heat race, and just puts an absolute stranglehold on everyone, which he did last year. And then it's like, okay, he's going to start on the pole, but will he lead every lap? Yeah, he did, you know. Or will we see something different like we saw a couple years ago where he had to come from way behind?
I mean, I don't wish him any ill will, but that was really fun to watch.
That was fun to watch there a couple years ago. A couple years also ago, 2 years ago, when Brownie went up and challenged him and took the lead within the last 10. And I think that's the thing. This race is just so cool. And but ultimately, victory lane, you're going to have to race Donny Schatz to get the win.
Yeah, without a doubt.
Exactly. So it is going to be really, really fun. A lot of cars. I think 108 the last I checked. It might even be a little higher than that now. So a lot of cars. A couple of special events we want to mention. Of course, one that we're very near and dear to is Arctic at Wing Nation. Every night at 6 o'clock Knoxville time, we are going to be in the fan zone. Aaron and I are going to be there Wednesday and Thursday, and then Kendra and I are going to be there Friday and Saturday. So 7 o'clock Eastern time on MRN.com, 6 o'clock Knoxville time, right there on the main stage. We'll have some free stuff for you, and all the top drivers are going to join us. Want to mention this one as well. This has been an event. It's the tribute or the target moves around, but the last 3 years we've been able to do something at Celebration Church, and Celebration Church is right across the street from the Hall of Fame and Museum. Okay, Judd Nelson is one of the pastors there, one of the associate pastors. Judd works on the KNA KRLS broadcast from out there. Just a great guy. And really the reason they do it, and I'll get into that and then tell you about the event, is if you find yourself in Knoxville, you know, we know if you need a cold drink, you can go to Dingus. You know, we know if you want to talk history, you can go to the Hall of Fame. We know you want to see some good racing, you can go to the racetrack, okay? If you find yourself in Knoxville and need to talk to somebody about something else in life where you need a church, that's why they do this. Celebration Church is right across the street. They're open and they're there. And, you know, if you need a church, you want to go to a service, you want to meet with like-minded Christian folk, then the Celebration Church is there for you. And what they do is on Friday, we've done sit-downs with stars. 2 years ago, Steve Kinzer. Last year, we talked about the birth of the National Sprint League. This year, 90 minutes with Sammy Swindell.
90 minutes with
90
Sammy.
minutes with Sammy, okay? Wow. And so I can't wait. I get a chance to host this thing, and it is just one of the most fun things I do. And Sammy, to me, is one of the most fascinating people that
really
the good
is.
Lord put on this planet.
Mhm.
And in our sprint car world,
It'd be really interesting to hear what he has to say
is.
for 90 minutes.
For 90 minutes, so we're going to get into all of it. I believe Jeff is going to join us, so that will certainly entertain us as well. And we'll get Jeff and Sammy telling stories about growing up together.
Yep.
And so it is going to be cool. That is Friday at the Celebration Church. Of course, the National Sprint Car Hall of Fame is open all week long. The kicking events that we mentioned before the break, we're going to have a couple of memorials to Bryan Clauson. The Steve King Foundation has a luncheon on Thursday, and they always do a luncheon. But this year it's going to be a celebration of Bryan's life. And as you mentioned, later that day, 2:15 at the Hall of Fame, going to be a celebration of Bryan's life as well. Different drivers are going to come. So, and you can just check with the local groups. Saturday morning, the parade. I've never done the parade, but I think I'm doing it this year.
You know, I got something from the parade, and I forgot to respond, and now I'm kicking myself.
Well, you should join me. I think I
let's
have a
go.
car, and
I'm
we'll
in.
go. Yeah,
All
exactly.
right.
Yeah, exactly.
Hope
Ray,
you don't mind Kate coming along, too.
Well, Kate, yeah, we'll have Kate. We'll have Kate in the parade, too. I think, I don't know, I've got to figure out this, but the parade is going on, and it's just big fun, all part of the Knoxville National. So really, really cool. Coming up on Wing Nation later this week, on Wing Nation Weekend, presented by Hefner Racing Products, Tony Stewart and Jeff Gordon. We have got some story. We have got Jeff talking about the Knoxville Nationals and all of the stuff he does. We got Tony Stewart talking about the Blaneys. And it's a pretty cool story we've got on that. So that'll be on Wing Nation Weekend, presented by Hefner Racing Products. And speaking of stories, Wing Nation, presented by Sage Fruit on MAV TV, Doug Clark. Talk about stories.
Yeah.
There's some stories. So that's going to be Saturday morning. Ralph Shaheen going to join us as well. And tomorrow night, I believe it is Wednesday night, we're going to release the final four, the front row of our ultimate starting lineup. So we're going to do that as well.
Need to see that
and see what the arm wrestling over number one was, because that was a big arm wrestling moment. So, and we'll release also this week our list on that as well. We've had so much fun over the course of time building up to the Knoxville Nationals with Speed Sport. Our negotiation amongst us was not all that pleasant at times.
No.
We had spirited debate.
Our final results amongst us doesn't look anything like the final result.
Nothing like theirs. Nothing like theirs at all. It's like we must have been the real crazy cousin, crazy Uncle Eddie over there. I was like, what in the world did they come up with? Because ours looks very, very, it's close now, but it's very dissimilar.
The top few are close.
Top few are close, but it's very dissimilar. We had fun doing it, though. Just the fun process that we had in doing it. But I'm glad we did it via an email and not in a room, because eyes would have been gouged out and everything. But that's the Speed Sport Ultimate Knoxville Nationals starting lineup, A main feature, and that is going to be on tomorrow night, I believe, on the program. And we'll have that, and it'll be on all our social media, our Facebook, our Twitter, and we'll do that. And, of course, we'll be busy with Tweet Your Seats and all of that on Twitter all weekend long, and Facebook posts throughout the week as well. So please join us there. If you're in Knoxville, please, please, please jump in there. Come say hi. Come listen to the show. If you see us out walking around, hanging out, hey, I would allow you, and Aaron, I'd allow you too, to take me to the Rotary Club stand and buy me a piece of pie.
Or take you to the Dingus.
Exactly. It's going to be a fun week, and it's going to be an interesting week as well, obviously, with all that's going on in the sprint car world. So on track, we talked a little bit about some of the World of Outlaw guys. Is there locals you're going to be keeping an eye on? Is there non-outlaw guys you're going to be keeping an eye on as we look at this one?
I like to keep an eye on some of the what I'd call Knoxville regulars, even if they're not running there this year, like the McCarl, the Madsen, the Brown, those guys. Even if they're haven't been now, they have a lot of laps there, and they're usually some of the strongest contenders against Donny.
I enjoy that. Okay, I'm extremely curious of how the Pennsylvania posse lines up. I really am, because I don't know if they're going to go out there and get clubbed, or I don't know if they're going to go out there and do damage. I have no clue. Brett Marks
said who's going to be the Cinderella
who's
story,
going to be and who's going to be the Cinderella story. Going to be great stuff as well. We appreciate Paul McMahon joining us, Donny Kreitz Jr. joining us, Jack Sodeman joining us. Again, if you want to make a contribution to Bryan Clauson, again, it is www.usacbf.org. That's the USAC Beneficiary Fund or Benevolence Fund. So it's usacbf.org. You can certainly send your contributions there. There's an old line that says, "We've laughed, we've cried." Well, I think in the last hour we have laughed and we have cried. It has been a great show, Aaron. Can't wait to get out there in Knoxville and hang out and share some more stories and share some more funs. And thank you for joining us here
You've
on
been
Wing
listening
Nation.
to the nation's premier winged sprint car radio program, Winged Nation. Tune in next Tuesday at noon for more talk from the dirt tracks. Winged Nation is also available on demand in the MRN.com Media Center or download from iTunes or Stitcher. Winged Nation is a production of the Motor Racing Network. All rights reserved.